Welcome to the Oakley Podcast, Trucking, Business, and Family. This show is brought to you by Oakley Trucking, headquartered in North Little Rock, Arkansas. The purpose of this podcast is to communicate with Oakley owner-operators and their families by giving them up-to-date information concerning Oakley Trucking and the trucking industry, from business advice to safety updates to success stories. Also to give an insight to outside truck drivers that might be interested in joining the Oakley family. Hi, I'm Jeremy Kellett, Director of Recruiting here at Oakley Trucking, and I'm your host for this podcast. Today's podcast, we're going to be talking to Toby Bishop, the Oakley Trucking Shop foreman out here, and going to discuss everything the shop does, give some good tips for owner-operators, and just a little more knowledge of what goes on about different things to do with the shop. I think it's going to be a great podcast. I appreciate you guys listening and tuning back in. I got a lot of feedback from our last podcast, so I think the word's getting out there, and we sure do appreciate it. Like I say every time, we want this to be another communication tool to our owner-operators so we can kind of give you guys an insight of what's going on at Oakley Trucking and some good information. So spread the word because this has got some good stuff going on with it. So Mr. Toby Bishop, been with us for quite a while. How long you been with us, Toby?
Almost 21 years.
Oh, my gosh, 21 years. And takes care of the shop out here, the wash bay, in charge of all that, and is a jack of all trades. And we would be lost without him, I can tell you that. Toby, what's going on? You doing all right?
Doing good. Happy to be here. And every day is a blessed day here at Oakley, I can promise you.
Isn't it? It's good to be with a good company like this. Is your background in mechanics? I mean, I know I didn't really think about this. So what was you doing before you come to Oakley?
I started out a welder by trade.
Oh, that's right. Welder.
Yep.
Well, that's right, because you got a lot of knowledge with that. And then
I've welded for Caterpillar. I've welded for the Union Pacific, for the railroad.
Oh, man.
And I left Union Pacific Railroad to come here.
Nice. Yep. Got family? Boy,
got a wife, Nancy. Got two boys, Tristan and Cooper. Tristan's fixing to turn 18. Cooper just turned 12.
Oh, my.
So I've got a senior and a sixth grader.
Yes. Awesome. My son just graduated college.
Wow.
I know, that's what I said.
And it's a blink of an eye.
And I got him and a 19-year-old. So it goes by fast, doesn't it?
Yep.
Well, let's get started in on some of this information that we've talked about. I want to get a little detail on some stuff going on and some information to our owner operators. And I thought first thing that we would cover is this wash bay out here, and not only the wash bay here, but also what we've got going on down in Reserve, our terminal down in Louisiana. They're about to get this one built out here. So what's the purpose of this one?
Okay, so we have, through evaluation, we noticed that owner operators are actually sitting here longer than needed. I mean, we're losing drive time, sitting in line just to get a rinse out, just to get a simple rinse out or a wash out. And so we come together collectively and decided that we needed some sort of express bay, if you will. Something that instead of lining up around the building and you've got people that's got to get an interior wash on a tank or something like that, and it's starting to back up, your hopper bottoms that just need a rinse out, your dumps that just need a rinse out, or even a tank that needs a rinse out that's not a food grade or a vac or something that takes a little more time, we can run them through this express bay and save that time. So that driver's moving on. He's able to meet his time, his load.
So that's all it's going to be for is...
Right now, that's what it's scheduled to be for, is strictly just rinse out and go.
And then we'll determine that, I guess, when they get out here.
That's right.
In line. How is the line going to work? Are we going to be able to, go behind the shop?
Well, it's going to be a work in progress, no doubt.
You're going to have to make the levee wider out there where two maybe can come across or
Very
something?
Possible. That's what we have to adapt to is the growing pains.
Yeah.
And that's what's so nice about, the way this company is progressing.
Yeah, isn't it though?
I mean, you're going to have the growing pains, and we're going to adapt to it, and we're going to make it happen.
Good problem to have.
Yes, very much so.
So the other two bays, they're, I guess, just standard.
Yep.
Do they try to pull in the tanks on one side all the time?
They have a particular side that they like to do conversions and that kind of stuff, dumps and rinse outs on the other. Because of the equipment and the way the equipment's set up, they can do it on both sides. It's just easier to do, like on the south side of the building, the left bay over there. They tend to do their vac trailers and their tanks over there. as far as conversions, breakdowns, that kind of stuff.
So we're not even in this express lane.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to wash a truck, are we?
No.
Good.
We are not set up to wash a truck there. I say set up. We're not going to set up to start out washing trucks.
That's strictly inside rinse.
Yep.
And keep moving on.
That's right. Now, line filters down throughout the day, and you've got 3 trucks out there. You put one in each bay, and somebody wants a truck washing the exterior. Sure, we're going to utilize that bay, and we're going to do that. But typically, when you look out here in the mornings and we're backed up around the building, it's express only. We're going to roll with it. We're not going to make somebody sit back there and wait when we've got an empty bay that wants to do an extra
I guess
wash.
we know how many rinse outs come through. I'm assuming that's where all this came from. Is like you got guys sitting out there just need a rinse for hours, and that's silly to do. Okay.
It is.
It's what most of the stuff is probably.
And all we're trying to do is just get across town to get loaded so we can go. But,
Right.
Somebody may have just had soybeans on, and we tried even doing that, and that didn't really work out so well for us.
Yeah, I understand. One mess up runs it for everybody.
Yep.
What about reserve? I know we do a lot of washes down there. What all they offer down there?
So they offer everything we offer up here plus some. They're doing kosher washes down there, which we are able to do up here as well. They're just set up geographically down there for a lot more kosher material.
Outside.
That's right. Outside stuff coming through. We wash a lot of potato trailers down there, but for our own self, we do everything down there that we do here, we can do down there.
Okay.
Those guys down there are doing an excellent job. Just a sidestep from our wash bay to our shop down there. Wade, Ronnie, Tyler, man, they're doing a bang up job down there.
Yeah.
There's only just, like I say, there's a handful of things that they don't do down there that we do up here. And that's going to be install a wet kit, install a blower, or actually do a major wreck.
Fix a trailer. Yeah.
Yep. But everything else.
Tires, tarps, brakes.
Man, and more.
Inspections.
You betcha.
All that lights, everything.
Yep. And Wade's getting lots better. He's into the getting to know the Qualcomms better as he's doing a little more of it. It doesn't filter through there as often, but he's able to remove, do some repairs for us over the phone. He's doing some upgrades and stuff for us. So that's been very beneficial.
Oh, yeah, that's a plus. I didn't think about that, doing some of the Qualcomm stuff.
So we don't have to route people, all the way this way if we don't have to.
So when an owner-operator rolls up in here to get some work done, I know we tell them in orientation and stuff, but you know how it is. Sometimes they hadn't been back in here in a long time, but they need to get some work done. And, of course, we know the clock's ticking all the time. What's the best way to get into the shop, in and out of the shop the quickest?
First and foremost, contact your dispatcher. Let them know you're here to get work done. Most generally, all of them have. That's why they're here. They've seen their dispatcher. They get a repair order. We want the dispatcher to be aware of what's going on with the trailer.
Is it good do they need to call like an hour before they get here? Or does that really matter? Just when they roll on the yard probably is the best.
Right. That's right. And right now, especially with this COVID going on, a lot of our drivers are contacting their dispatcher, having them just fill out a repair order, emailing it to the shop out there to the parts room at NLR Parts Room at BruceOakley.com. We get the repair order. Joe and them set them up on the board. It's usually got their phone number. If it doesn't, they'll get their phone number from dispatch. And then whenever they roll in, they come to the shop and they say, hey, I'm here. My dispatcher was supposed to have sent a work order. Yes, we've got you on the board. That's whenever we start trying to determine via driver and dispatch. Typically, it's a first come, first served type basis. But that's not always fair when you've got a man that's got a clock ticking to a man who does it.
Right.
So we try to communicate that, and it's, I got here first, but this gentleman's, he's under a clock and he's trying to get somewhere to appease the customer.
Yeah.
And we're about that as much out there as they are in here. And we have to be to make this wheel go round.
Yeah, yeah.
And so sometimes that changes a little bit from when you got here to when you got in. But Joe and them are going to call you, Blake, say, hey, every bay is numbered out front. They'll call you, say, hey, bay 3's open for you. you can back in. We ask that all drivers, they can back up to the door, but don't back in the door. Wait for a technician to come out and spot you in the door. They may be still sweeping up their bay. They may be still cleaning from the trailer previous. You come backing in, somebody's not paying attention. They get hurt.
Yeah, that's a good point. Make sure. So they roll up in the parking lot in front of the shop, go in the shop, give you the work order, or go to the dispatch and get the work order?
Yes, that's best. We want the dispatcher to know what's going on.
Okay.
We don't
so
want them
dispatch knows, and then you're going to tell them to move somewhere. Where are they going to park?
A lot of times either on a gravel lot or across the levee.
Okay. Just don't block the shop.
Exactly. And everybody's going to understand that at some point in time. When you pull in and you pull up in front of the shop crossways in front of 3 or 4 bays and you go in to see somebody or to get a part, and now you've got somebody that's trying to get in or get out, you're going to be that guy one day that's trying to get in or get out.
Yeah.
And somebody's got you blocked.
Yeah.
So we try to get everybody to, because once again, it's that growth that we're all experiencing, and we're cramped for space, but we're making do. We're going to work. We're going to adapt.
So what are most of the repairs you have to make, some of the common repairs that are made when a guy rolls in here? I mean, I guess it's everything though, isn't it?
It is. You're gonna do anything from tees to valves, gaskets on a tank trailer, dumps. You're gonna do tarp, gate seals, wheels, brakes, tires, hoppers. You're gonna do bearings on doors. You're gonna do gearboxes, rollers, tarp, that kind of stuff. Hoppers are probably your least maintenance item.
Right.
Dumps and tanks are probably equivalently about the same because of usability on them.
Well, a tarp is a tough deal to keep.
Sure it is.
keep pieced together, isn't it?
It is because wind, weather, sun, it all plays a part in it. It's not just the commodity you haul.
Yeah.
It's Mother Nature. I mean, she takes a toll on one that.
Well, and the places we go and what we do, the product we haul, it makes a difference on all of the equipment.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing is the owner operator paying attention to the equipment and taking care of it, because I'm sure you see guys that roll in here with the same trailer for most of the time, and you can tell when a guy's taking care of it and when a guy's not, can't you?
You bet.
Yeah.
You can tell the ones who treat that trailer just like it belonged to them, and you can tell the guys who, as the phrases I've heard so many times, I'm just dragging this wagon.
Yeah. That's the ones you got to repair the most.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
During all this, we were talking earlier about tires, and thought we might get into that. I had one guy suggest we might talk about tires and how you pick tires to run on these trailers. You want to give us some info?
You betcha. You betcha. Over the years, what we've discovered with our loaded to empty mile ratio and the weight of our trailers, we can't run a tall 32nd, a deep tire on our trailers. You will never reach the capacity of that rubber. You'll never use it up before it starts getting what they call a river wear, whipped out, or chopped, and you'll end up taking it off for vibration, irregular wear, or something because of that ratio of loaded to empty miles and the weight of our trailers. We have to stay between a 12 and 13 32nd tire new on those trailers. So in doing that, that's how we pick what tires we use. Now, industry now, almost everybody is in a 22.5 of some kind. Low pro, tall, but they're in a 22.5 because of roll stability, or it's not roll stability, but roll resistance, cost. But in our industry and what we do, we need that little bit of extra height. We need that little bit of extra of stability and stance, if you will, on these trailers. So we're still at that 11R 24.5 on the majority of our trailers. In doing so, we run 50% virgins, and we run those on the rear axle of everything. Every trailer is standard virgins on the rear axle.
Okay.
We do that for two reasons. Is on dumps, we don't want any kind of blemish whatsoever. Whether you don't want a major repair, you don't want anything like that. put on the back axle where you've got all that weight standing up in the air. Tanks, you have so much cost back there on the back. If you were to have a cap failure, you've got a bumper, you've got a light box, you've got hose tubes, you've got so much back there that a $300 tire has just cost you $2,000.
Right.
So we keep that off the back. Hoppers are the same way. You've got so much back there to tear up and destruct whenever one fails. Now, with that being said, the other 50%, our caps, are on the front axle for that reason, but our cap failure rate is so low. We are less than 1%.
Now, why is that?
Every quarter, usually it runs about every quarter, I go to the cap shop myself. Our specs on our tires, we only cap our virgin casings that we take off here.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So I go to the cap shop, and every tire that didn't make the cut, that they have rejected, me, the sales rep, the Michelin rep, and a gentleman from West Plains, Missouri comes down, and we all go through them together collectively, and we put our hands on every tire that goes through there, and we cherry pick those tires.
On every recap?
Yep.
So that's a lot of...
It's time consuming.
That's time consuming, a lot of tires, but
when your failure rate is less than 1%, your damage rate is a lot less also. So we're actually saving money, spending a little time, but we're cherry picking the casings. We only cap a casing one time. We will not cap it twice. We'll only do one section repair and one nail hole. There's things, and it's going to go through that process. And Michelin has set us up those specs. We picked them. They put them in their system, and that's the guidelines. So we'll have casings that'll come off that'll get rejected because it had too many nail holes.
Gotcha.
Or age of casing, we don't cap anything that's over 5 years old.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because now you get into deterioration, you get into breakdown, the casing's got age on it, it's a failure. We don't take those chances.
So you're seeing it benefit us then with the cost effect of that, and it's not causing you any more problems.
That's right. But at the end of the day, I'm not saying you're not going to have an issue. Yeah. You know, everything. We're just eliminating the percentage of issues we're going to have.
Right. Well, I think that's good.
And we try to do our best to keep that recap bad name taste out of people's mouths because of that. And it saves everybody money, time, and...
Well, and that makes sense to me because, you know, we preach on guys coming here. We don't want recaps on the trucks. So, you know, you didn't want it. You wouldn't let me come here with any recaps on my truck, but you put them on your trailer. Well, there's a little bit difference, you know, than somebody throwing it on a truck, a used truck, and shipping it out the door. So there's a little bit difference. I'm glad you explained that because that makes a big difference. A
lot of people don't know where their caps come from.
Right. That's exactly right. Yeah.
And
we do.
That's right. And a lot of, and I'm not going to say all of them, but a lot of dealerships don't put that much time into the cap that they're capping before they sell it to somebody.
And that's done here in North Little Rock?
Our cap shop is in Pottsville, Arkansas.
Oh, okay.
Just down by Russellville.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's done locally, close, and we're able to keep an eye on it.
And those are all Michelins we run.
On the cap.
Trailers.
Mm-hmm. And we run a spread axle cap. For our spread axles, it's got a rounded edge for a little more side scrub. And then on our closed tandems, we run a more of a trailer, just standard closed tandem tread on it. Virgins, we're running a Goodyear and a Michelin. Okay. Just to make sure that supplies stay plentiful for us, and those two have run equally as well from us. So,
okay. That's good tire info right there.
You bet.
Man, yeah, I hope that explains a lot to you owner operators listening. Man, that's good stuff. I sure didn't know.
And I hope it helps owner operators for the next time they get ready to buy them a tire that they will question who they're buying them from.
Yeah.
How old is this tire? Where did this tire come from? You know, it might help you in your purchasing.
Well, I like the point of that. We're recapping our own tire.
You bet.
So that to me makes a big difference.
Right.
Also, you know where it's been. How about, speaking of tires, you know, I guess you probably get a lot of calls of getting tires and stuff done on the road.
Every day.
How in the world? I mean, we know as a company, we want it done back in North Little Rock. But now with CSA violations and all that stuff, that we can't, an owner operator don't want to get it. He don't want to move, if
That's
something's wrong, and he determines whether it needs to be fixed or not. I guess by talking to the owner operator, you and him determine whether it needs to be fixed or not on the road, or whether it can get back in here. I'm assuming, is that how that happens? And
Yes.
if you do got to get done, what's the process there?
So what we try to inform owner operators, usually during their orientation, is that if you do have an over-the-road breakdown, first and foremost, we want you to contact your dispatcher. We need to make sure that if you're loaded or empty, whatever your schedule is, that can be taken care of, and we can make sure that the customer knows what's going on if we're going to be down for any kind of time length. Second, nights and weekends, you call your dispatcher, and they know what they can handle, what they can't handle, as far as things like, minor things. So they may take those calls and deal with them as need be. If they need mine or Jeff's help or something like that, then they'll contact us, say, hey, I've got this going on. Can you help me? And then we'll contact the driver, or if it's during the day, during the week, and we're here, dispatch gets the call, they're going to transfer it to us. Minor or major, typically they transfer it to us.
Okay.
So what we'll do, if a driver calls in, he says, hey, I've got X problems. So I try to push all of those calls that I can to Jeff out there in the shop. I like to refer to him as our breakdown manager, if you will.
Right.
That way, he's familiar with all of his places that he's used across the country. He knows who has done us right, who's going to take care of us, and who's not. He can make that list. He can compile that for himself and for us. All right. So if we can direct that call to him, we're going to. But if he's not there for us at the moment when you call in, we've got a paper spreadsheet that we're going to ask a series of questions. Bear with us. And we're usually going to tell you up front, hey, we're fixing to ask you a series of questions, because everybody's been broke down and everybody's been frustrated, and you don't never break down on a sunshiny day on the side of the highway or at the truck stop.
Yeah, close to nothing.
It's always miserable. It's hot. It's raining. You're not where you need to be. So we're going to ask those questions just to alleviate that problem. Where you're at, your name, your phone number, your truck number, your trailer number, you're loaded, you're empty, where you're headed, and your location right now. Because where you're headed is a big deal for us. We're going to try to get you fixed in a direction that you're going. We don't want you to backtrack if we can keep from it.
Right.
It's not always possible, but that's the goal. Let's keep moving forward. So we're going to take all that information down, and then if and when Jeff calls you back, or if I take the call, I'm going to start looking, and we're going to start finding these places en route to get X fixed, whatever it is. And as we're doing that, we're writing this information down. We've got other blanks to fill in. Once we determine where we're going, who we talk to, their phone number, we're going to write all that in. Because if, say, Jeff steps out of the office and you call back and you say, hey, I'm over here, but nobody knows what I'm talking about, I can pick up that piece of paper and I can say, all right, he talked to Pete. Here's Pete's number. I'll call him right now and let him know you're outside. Whatever the case may be. I'm not trying to have...
Start all over again.
You betcha. Asking you all these questions, and it's a blunder, and we don't want that. We want it to go as easy and painful as possible.
Well, and anytime you're broke down, as in anybody, as an owner-operator especially, but you always get things ramp up. A little bit of a hurry there a lot of times trying to get, man, you need to answer the phone. I need to get a hold of somebody. This is not going right, So it's important that you have that spreadsheet where you can look at it and pick up right where Jeff left off, or anybody can, and keep this guy going.
And we've had instances in the past where we've actually went back on our spreadsheet and we filed them and hang on to them because the repair failed 3 days down the road. Well, where did we get this done? Let's get a hold of Pete and let's find out what he can do to help us with this situation. And we've had places be able to help. Oh, yes, if we did something, or our way we handle it, yes. And they'll come across and.
Now, most of the time, Toby, are we setting up an account and paying that, or do we have the owner operator pay for it and us reimbursing?
We try to push towards places we have accounts or places we can get things done on our account before we're ever going to ask that driver to pay for it out of pocket.
Okay.
We're going to do our best to either try to make sure they'll accept EFS if the driver can't, or if we don't have an account, we're going to go that route first and foremost. It's not always going to happen. We run into a few mom and pops that you just, they're not set up for that.
Well, I bet it's an advantage of having an owner operator that's mechanically inclined a little bit.
Let me tell you, that's one of the questions on this spreadsheet.
Oh,
Yes.
is it?
I'm going to ask you up front, and all you got to do is tell me. Not everybody's mechanically inclined.
Yeah.
Not everybody can be. But I'm going to ask you, is this something you think if I walk you through, you can help me put a temp fix on it so you can move to them to get repaired versus set 3 hours to wait on them to come to you?
Yeah.
And sometimes guys go,
You got to determine whether you got to call a truck out or not.
That's right.
Yeah.
And a guy will say, man, I don't carry tools because I just don't know how to use them. Fair enough.
At least you know what you're dealing with.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And you know up front, here's where we're at. This is what we need to do. And then you'll have guys say, man, I've got more weight and tools than I got in,
Yeah.
Oh,
there's guys out there that overhaul motor sitting
That's
on
right.
the side of the road. You hear that all the time. There's guys that can fix stuff. Now, there's no doubt. We've got a bunch of them. And you got some that can't now. I mean, it's like, hey, I got to call you to get it fixed. But
Yep.
that's the good part that I think is good for them to know is they can call us and get something done. And I'm day or night, really, isn't it?
bet.
I mean, sometimes they call dispatch and them and dispatch determine if it's something that can wait till in the morning or not. And then if not, they call you. But
And I get calls on the weekends. Jeff gets calls on the weekends and at night. And usually, and I mean, it's just like habit. Whenever you take those, you always bring that stuff with you, and you've got it. And the next morning, first thing you're doing is you're calling that owner operator and you're saying, hey, how did it go last night? Did it get took care of? Or, no, I'm still sitting here, or, this has happened and it was a worse deal than what it started out to be. And you're able to let the customer know.
How can owner operators help you in the shop? How, like on the road and stuff, what can they do to extend the life of things, whether it's a tank, tire, whether it's stuff on a pneumatic tank, whether it's tires on a trailer, whether it's tarp on a dump? What's some of the little things they can do to extend the life of the stuff that would help?
So if you're gonna be out for an extended period of time where you're not going to be able to get by here for us to look at things on a periodic basis, you definitely want to keep an eye out on your like on the back of your tarp, your bungee cords. Don't let them dry rot. Don't let them break. Your tarp flaps in the wind. It's deteriorated now. It's gone. You've got issues. Tire pressure, big deal. Tire pressure.
Okay.
Now we have an account set up at Speedco and at Love's where you can say you're in there getting your truck serviced at Speedco. You can tell them, hey, I want to get a grease on that trailer. Oakley will pay for that. And it's free to you. It can be done while you're in there. And they're going to go through and they're going to do about a 10-point inspection on that trailer while it's there.
Okay. And
it's going to hit tire pressure, hub oil, put grease where they can, and that kind of stuff. Now, they're not going to patch your tarp or that kind of stuff.
How often?
About every 30 days.
At least.
But if you're in there getting your truck done, tell them, if they need to call us to get verification, you bet. No problem. It's a $10 or $12 deal for them to do for us. Y'all, grease is the cheapest maintenance there is out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's cheap and it goes forever if you'll use it.
Yeah, it does go a long way.
You bet you.
I got this tire on my lawnmower, dude, this wheel, and it just will not. I mean, we roll that thing, it gets to squalling. I got to stop. I've got to whip back in there and grease them, to keep that thing. It drives me nuts mowing. But anyway.
But you don't even have to. You don't have to pull the hubcap. You don't have to pull the plug on the hubcap to check the oil. A lot of times you can just take a flashlight in the evenings, early in the mornings, and you can shine it right up to that glass, and it'll show you the level in it.
See, those little things that our owner operators can do can not only extend the life of the the equipment, but it can save them time.
Downtime.
Lots of downtime, and with them being on the clock, that is sure enough valuable time.
It's kind of like bending hinges on a tailgate.
Oh,
if you'll barn door that thing every chance you get, you won't ever bend a hinge.
man, it seems like we get an email on that every week. Somebody's bent the hinges, and I mean, I'm assuming they get it in a pile, whatever they're dumping into, just regular dump. But man, I don't want to swing that door, Toby. It's so easy to pop that tailgate and dump it out, but swinging it would eliminate that. I guess.
It eliminates it 100%. It gets it out of the way. And you're not going to bend a hinge. You're not going to tear nothing up.
And for you owner operators that haven't done that, I hope none of you do, but you're going to be charged for those bent hinges. So, and that can vary. I don't know. How much is that stuff?
Oh, it depends on the severity of it, but it's usually between $360 to $600.
Yeah. So pay attention when you're dumping. Barn door if you can. So all good tips and good things. Real quick, this is good information though. I like it. In your shop down here, we have 2 bays. We put the wet kits and the blowers on. Now that's what those bays are for, and inspections too, right?
Yes.
So we've talked about servicing the trailers and stuff. Can these guys, what do they need to do anything to their wet kits and blowers to maintenance them once in a while, make sure they're performing like they should?
You bet. Your wet kit, keep an eye on your hoses. Make sure the protectors are where they're supposed to be. Make sure there's no wear spots on them going through the rubber into the steel liner of your hoses. Check the fittings on your between your tank and your pump and your hoses. Make sure you don't have any leaks or drips. Nothing's coming loose. You can dipstick your oil tank on the back or on the side, depending on which one you have. You can take the vent cap. You have a field cap and you have a vent cap. You can take the vent cap off. Takes like a 3/4 inch. Unscrew it. Pull it off. You can take just a clothes hanger, anything straight rod, go to the bottom, pinch it right there to pull it up, and it ought to be about 3 to 3.5 fingers from the top.
Yeah, don't want it full.
Do not want it full. Do not fill a tank plumb full, because when that trailer goes up and you empty out and when you come back down, you've got to have room for air. That thing's got to breathe. And if you're pushing fluid, you're going to push fluid out your vent cap, and it's going to be all over your tank and all over your truck.
Got a mess then.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's good info.
And
what about blowers?
Blowers, you've got sight glasses on the side of your blowers. If you're running a Paragon, a Garner, or a drum, or a Tut Heel, which takes a synthetic oil, you can kind of see the sight glasses on the side, see if you need oil in them or not. Drive line, greasing it on a regular basis.
Yeah. If
you've got a Garner Denver, it's got grease ports on it. It's got oil on one end.
Back to grease again.
Drive lines, U-joints, I'm just telling you, do not take the word of somebody servicing your truck when you ask them to grease your drive line. Get underneath there and check it.
Yeah.
So many of them will say, I just had that done, and the U-joint is burned up and it's fell out from dry.
Yeah.
Don't take anybody's word for it.
Good info. Man, good stuff. I know there's a whole lot more we could probably cover in trailers and maintenance and tips and stuff, but we're about out of time here. We need to wrap this thing up. What we'll do, probably, Toby, is get you back on here.
You bet.
Down the road here just a little bit. And
any owner operator can, if you got a question, seriously, about any of it, you're unfamiliar or anything you've had done here and you just want to know, you want a question, call me.
Yeah.
Come by and see me. Whatever.
Yeah.
Open door.
Send me some comments, emails on this stuff that you're hearing now, guys. And if you want to hear about some other things out in the shop and what's going on, man, we'd be glad to answer all your questions. We will have another podcast with Toby. I got a feeling we're going to have several down the road with him and get a lot of information out to you guys. Appreciate you hanging with me a little while, Toby.
You bet.
Man,
glad to be here.
Hey, I learned something. I tell you, that's good stuff right there. Appreciate all you owner operators listening to us. I say it every time, spread the word. This is how we're going to communicate with you guys. Let us know if you got some stuff you want us to talk about. Enjoy doing this podcast and hope we can do it for a long time, and appreciate all our owner-operators and our families out there. And y'all have a good one. See you next time. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Oakley Podcast, Trucking, Business, and Family. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate or review the show in the podcast platform of your choice and share it with a friend. We love hearing from our audience, so if you've got a question, comment, or just want to say hello, head over to our website, theoakleypodcast.com, and click the Leave a Comment button. We'll get you a response soon and may even share some of the best ones here on the show. We'll be back with a fresh episode very soon. Thanks for listening.